With our next guest, I really want to do this. And I think when I do it, you'll understand why. When I was here last year, and I met our next speaker and I heard him speak. Thank you for that. I was really moved. And it had a big impact because of where I was at a particular time in my life. So, Michael Allison is who's coming up next. He's a globally recognized authority on identity-driven leadership, organizational resilience, and performance psychology. And there's going to be moments in this introduction, if you want to applaud, it's okay. He's a Purple Heart U.S. Marine Corps veteran. A TEDx speaker, best-selling author, and award-winning Inc. 5000 entrepreneur. Michael spent more than 2 decades helping leaders and organizations transform adversity into strategic advantage, equipping them to lead with clarity, courage, and conviction under pressure. From the battlefield to the boardroom, Michael's leadership was forged in environments where purpose, precision, and presence meant survival. Following 9/11, he enlisted in the United States Marine Corps and served with 1st Marine Division, 3rd Assault Amphibian Battalion, Alpha Company during combat operations in Iraq. After surviving a devastating VBIED attack that left him with traumatic injuries, Michael rebuilt his life through faith, therapy, discipline, and personal accountability. Those experiences became the foundation of his life's mission, helping others rise beyond adversity and performing at their highest level when it matters most. Following his military service, Michael earned degrees in information security systems and applied management while leading multi-million-dollar initiatives for the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, managing high-pressure leadership and technology projects on Capitol Hill, and serving as Director of Military and Veterans Affairs at Florida Atlantic University. Today, as founder and CEO of the Adversity Leadership Institute, Michael partners with corporations, government agencies, nonprofit, educational institutions, and global brands to strengthen leadership capacity, elevate organizational culture, and help people thrive through adversity, uncertainty, and change. So if you'll join me in welcoming a true American hero, Michael Allison, to the stage.
Chad, appreciate you, man. Thank you. Stay with me. Stay with me. What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing? You doing good? Hey, can you stand to your feet? Stand to your feet for me. I want Chad to join me real quick. As Chad mentioned, I'm a United States Marine Corps veteran. And a Marine, we say, hoorah. I want to check the energy inside the room. I want to check the vibes. So on the count of 3, I want to get the loudest hoorah. You guys with me? 1, 2, 3. Hoorah! There you go. Appreciate it, baby. Thank you, man. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You guys go ahead and have a seat. Man, thank you guys so much. It's an honor to be back with you guys again this year for Social Media Alignment Week. I know that many of us inside of social media and marketing, it comes with a lot of responsibilities, a lot of expectation, and a lot of pressure. All surrounding AI, algorithms, customer service, you name it. But today, I want to go in a completely different direction. Today, I want to talk about your house, your home, the place that we lay our heads down at night. Most of us would say it's one of our most valuable assets. We pay our mortgage, we pay all of the bills to maintain it and keep it, because we know anything that's valuable is worth protecting. However, many of us sometimes neglect some of the most important things inside of it, ourselves. In this world where we're constantly creating content, posting, and algorithms and people is giving us so much feedback, we try to make ourselves accessible 24/7. And that comes with a lot of pressure. Pressure that you take home at night and doesn't clock out at 5 o'clock. And that's the invitation for today. And that's for us to learn how to protect the house, not the physical one, but the human one. Oftentimes I'm asked, Michael, where did this idea come from for protecting the house? And no, it didn't come from my franchise or the construction company or any of those things that I was running at the particular time. I had a friend in West Palm Beach, and his wife went on a trip to Brazil. And he was left at home with his dog, Rocky, and his boys. He wanted to go get his car worked on and get it fixed for that particular day. So he took it to the shop. He left the keys with the mechanic. He also left his garage fob in the car. He comes back home, and he says, I need to get to work. So he asks his dad, can he borrow his car? He goes to work, and he comes back home. Comes back home, and police is in the neighborhood. He goes up to the cops. Hey, what's going on? The cops tell him, hey, a lady in your neighborhood just got attacked 2 houses down, and we're looking for the guy. My friend, since he didn't have any keys, left his back sliding door open. He goes inside of his house, and his dog, Rocky, starts barking. He immediately runs out of the house and tells the police, I think this guy's inside of my house. And that led me to start wondering and start discovering how we leave so many portals and access open in our lives. And I thought about that for myself. So where did that start for me? It started for me when I was playing football. And our football coach would always tell us, protect the gaps, protect the line, protect the quarterback, or he's going to get sacked. Furthermore, once I joined the Marines, we're told, protect the six, protect the mission, protect the man to the left and the right, protect our country. After I got out of the Marines, I had a chance to go work for Norfolk Southern Railroad. I initially started in Columbia, South Carolina, worked there for about 6 months, became a conductor, worked with our engineers, learned how to build trains, work with customers, and so forth. I got laid off after 6 months. And after getting laid off, my manager called me up and said, hey, Michael, you're a good employee working for us. Would you like to go in management? So I said, yes, absolutely, I would. So I went to Atlanta, and I became a train master, managing over 200 employees, 200 miles of track on the left and the right side of the South End, Georgia district, 74 customers. And an industry, number one thing for protection was safety. And as I was there working on the railroad, doing my job for over 5 years, I was there and realized that the phone is always ringing. And I got a call one night at 2 o'clock in the morning from the South End dispatcher, say, hey, Mr. Allison, we have a fatality here in Stockbridge, Georgia. I left my wife at home and my newborn son and showed up on the scene. I showed up on the scene, and then I seen this body cut in half, and that immediately brought me back to my time when I served in Iraq, and I had to put my best friend in a body bag. I came back home with that same thought in my mind of protection. I had to protect my employees, I had to protect my staff, I had to get them off the train, I had to put a new crew on the train. But I brought that back home into my house. Shortly after that, started having some mental health challenges, started having nightmares, started having sweats in my dreams, and having flashbacks. Shortly after that, I got divorced, and now I was a single dad trying to figure life out. After being diagnosed with PTSD, traumatic brain injury, and being on 13 different mental health medications, I said I wanted to go work on myself and learn how to protect myself. So I went to Rush Medical University to study with Dr. Fuqua to learn all about mental health, to learn all about your brain. And he fascinated me. He started telling me that your brain has over 500 networks of neurons that could wrap around this globe 20 times. You're processing so many information that you're making decisions 30 to 35,000 times a day. And I learned all about the left side of the brain, the right side hemisphere of the brain, all of the cool things that it does. But then he intrigued me, and he started teaching me about the RAS, the reticular activating system. Now, this is not a science class, but I want to talk about how your brain gets a chance to protect what matters most and what you focus on. So the brain is connected to your spine and to the lower stem of your brain. And it acts like a filter with the information that you receive and the information that you choose not to focus on. And I would like to get a volunteer in here. Want to volunteer, Austin? Come on up. The RAS acts like a filter system, and it acts like a decision-making thing for you. So, how many of us ever been a bouncer? Anybody ever got bounced out of a club? Nobody's ever been bounced out of a club? You have? You have? You have? All right, say hello to Austin. Hi, all. All right, so your RAS is a filtration system, and it acts just like this, and you tell your brain what you want to focus on. So, Austin, identify how many chandeliers are in here.
4.
Easy. How many exits are in here?
4.
How many red shirts do you see in here?
1.
1. That's how your RAS works, right? And that's how the process of what you focus on and what you do is so important to us. Thank you, Austin. Give Austin a round of applause. Appreciate it. Thank you. But that's just a quick illustration of the information that we choose to listen to, the information that we choose to process, and how important it is for us. Now, you say, Michael, yeah, that sounds good in theory as it is for you in the military or when you work on a railroad in that environment. But no. Oftentimes when I'm working with clients, I just did a training with the University of Maryland several weeks ago, and we're in there training with them. And as I'm training with the staff, I'm telling them, different environment, but same human responses. Emotional exhaustion still impacts your communication and decision-making, especially when you're a workaholic and someone that's always like pouring into people over and over. Fear still affects confidence and authenticity. You just heard Tracy talk about how many of us are scared to get in front of a camera. How many of us don't want to get in front of a camera and create content? Many of us. And that impacts our confidence and our authenticity when we get ready to show up in front of people. Then uncertainty. That still creates hesitation and self-doubt. Oftentimes we may want to send a blog, we might want to send a marketing campaign, but if we hit send, we're wondering what the person on the other side feel or think. Will they judge me? Or if I make a post and someone gives it a thumbs up or put a negative comment, 78% of the times are negative thoughts. So most people are going to criticize, ridicule, and think something initially. So we hesitate whenever we choose to send information. Burnout. How many of us are burned out? That's one of the number one things I hear from most people, that they're working excessively past 5 o'clock, past 6 o'clock, and they take it home with them. And this is causing some behavioral relationships, and they're having short fuse. The last thing is pressure. It still affects us in the workplace. If we don't have systems, if we don't have structures in place, and when chaos hits, then your systems and your boundaries fail. So, what's consuming most of your attention? Many of us will find that we wake up at night, or we're at night, and we're searching and scrolling through our phones still. We wake up in the morning and still scrolling. Or in some of our favorite spots in the restroom, and we're there for 15 minutes and realize how long we've been on our social media platforms searching. Your legs fall asleep, your arms get tired, you realize a whole bunch of stuff is going on. Am I the only one? Oftentimes, I find my son in the bathroom. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? I can hear YouTube, I can hear TikTok, all going on at the same time by this young man because of what's consuming all of his time. That led me down the path of discovering what do we need to do to protect our house. Not the physical one, but the human one. We do everything on the outside. We put locks, we put guards, we put ring alarms, we get gates, we get HOAs, we go into those different communities. But how do we do that for ourselves? When I was teaching this and applying it for myself, the discovery was from the following framework: identity. How can we create the identity for ourselves, for what we stand for and what we believe in for ourselves and for our company? How can we create the boundaries for ourselves with the access and for our business too as well? How can we create the discipline where we can have structures and systems in place to follow through with that? And how could we renew ourselves where we could pour back in and unleash the best version of ourselves and become truly authentic with what we do? So the first step and the first wall is identity. And step number one is define, align, and represent. If you do not define who you are, the market, the audience, and the algorithms will attempt to define you. When I started my franchise, our brand was recognized as one of the high-end companies in West Palm Beach, Florida. So we were serving Boca Raton, Wellington, Lake Worth, some parts of Delray. And most of the contracts that we were getting was somewhere between $15,000 to $30,000 per contract, which was a fairly good contract for a painting construction company. We didn't operate in the low-end margins where companies were charging $5,000, $7,000 just to do some small jobs or anything kind of like that. Most of our jobs was high-end residential communities or some commercial contracts or government contracts. Business was going well. Customers was very happy. But I had a sales team, and I had a marketing team. And our marketing team would do everything to promote everything that we were doing to represent us at a high-end company. But I had a sales team, and that sales team wanted to make money. So throughout the years, we had customers that would call us and say, hey, can you come and paint our bathroom? Can you come and paint 2 bedrooms? And these tickets were $5,000, $6,000, which was not aligned with our brand. And they started taking those jobs. And eventually, our high-end customers fell off. So the point is, for us as marketers, social media, let's start defining who we are. What are our values? What is important to us? What is the voice and the signal that we're sending to our customers and to our clients? And what is the standard that we choose to uphold? Is our messaging matching the values? Is our behavior matching what we're saying and what we're marketing all across the board? What is the audience experience from the initiation of a customer coming on and being onboarded to all of the touch points, to the testimonials, the follow-ups, the annual check-ins with the customer? What is that like? Is it consistent across the board? And then represent. Your consistency is going to build trust, and people trust predictability. When you think about your Louis, your Gucci's, your Fendi's, all of these high-end brands, we already trust the brand. We walk into the store, we don't ask, what's the material? Where is it from? Is it ethical? None of those things, because we trust the brand. And that's the same thing that goes for us when it comes to marketing and social media. So the question I would like to ask is this, and for us to start pondering on, if someone consumed your content for 30 days, what would they believe about you? I've seen Austin content now for over a year now since I've met him. He's pretty consistent when it comes to AI. He's pretty consistent with advising on the softwares and the tools that you're going to use. And I think he just got a robot the other day and just opened up another place in Raleigh, if I'm not mistaken, because I've seen his content. When I see your content, I know this is the guy that I'm going to go look for with plumbing advice and plumbing education, because he's given me valuable insight and valuable content for me to follow. And I've seen it consistently now well over the past year. So this is what I mean. When people start consuming your content, what are they getting? Is it mixed messaging? Are you saying one thing here and another thing there, and they're falling off and not believing in who you are and trusting you? And that's the most important key to that. The second wall is boundaries. And this is one of the most critical ones for our walls when we're creating things in our company. And if you don't control access to your time and energy, then guess what? Other people will. One of the contracts that we landed was for this lady that had a mega mansion. And it was a high 6-figure job that we had. And as we're doing the job, I exchanged my number with the lady so she could have contact and have access to me. During normal business hours, she texted. Then after hours, she called. A couple days go by, she texts after hours. The weekend came, she called. And this became a problem within my household for a customer. I thought I was giving customer service. I thought I was going to be there for the client. But that was my fault. I did not establish boundaries, and I gave her full access to me. So for us, it's important for us to start creating those boundaries and knowing what we should say yes to and what we should say no to, and the level of expectations that we need to start creating. So the first step is filter. Not every opportunity deserves your attention. Not everything needs to be on your calendar. Not everything you need to be focused on. So we got to decipher through that. The second step is create operational boundaries. If you say you work from 8 to 5, then work 8 to 5. If you work from 9 to 6, and work from 9 to 6. But don't go home after 6 o'clock and your husband, your kids, your wives, your parents is asking for your time and you're still working because they're not getting the full, true, authentic version of yourself. The last thing is to protect. Guard your energy, your focus, your relationship, and emotional clarity. What you'll find if you don't guard those things and protect those things, you're the one that's going to be burned out. You're the one that's going to be stressed out. You're the one that's going to be dealing with a whole lot of fear. So who gets the best version of you? I remember for myself, I was struggling with this. I was working from 5 to 6, and I would come home and I would eat dinner with my family, and I would get the laptop, and my son wants to play. They want to do things with me, and I have the laptop, and I'm still trying to play with him, and he didn't get the best version of me. And then my wife came over to me and says, "You treat us like sloppy seconds. You treat us like leftovers," and that hurt. And I say that to us as leaders inside of this room, who's getting the best version of you? And if no one is getting the best version of you, you can't truly unleash the full version of yourself because you're burned out, you're stressed out, you're exhausted. The third wall is discipline. And this might be a hard one because when people think of discipline, they think of like, I got to be hard charged, I got to be motivated. And no. Motivation only lasts so long. I recall that in boot camp. I was only motivated for 30 seconds. That's it. Boot camp was hard as hell. When it comes to discipline, if you do not build a system to support the success eventually becomes difficult to sustain. Before I went to Iraq, we was training in 29 Palms in the desert. And Captain Venninger, you also always have us planning, training, preparing, just in case chaos or anything catastrophic was to hit. He didn't want us to wait for something bad to happen because he knew that we would only rise to the level of our preparation. We're there in Iraq, and we get assigned to partner with the Iraqi insurgents. We're supporting Operation Phantom Fury. And as we're supporting Phantom Fury, we go out into the desert. I'm first section squad leader. And while we're providing security, one of the Iraqis started firing off his AK-47. I jumped in his ass. "What are you doing?" Shortly after that, it gets dark. Then you hear, boom, 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 and mortars start coming in. One of the mortars disabled one of my tracks and knocked out the front riggings of it. This is when all of the planning and preparing had to come in place. One of the things that we implemented was a PACE plan. P for primary, A for alternate, C for contingency, and E for emergency. The primary plan was for us to provide security while we were there. But as soon as this occurred, we had to provide a 360 security for us to repair this one track. So we disassembled the front rigging, started banging sledgehammers to disassemble it, and then short track it and make it shorter. As we made it shorter, more artillery started coming back in. From there, I had to go to our contingency plan. I had to start talking to the drones and the eye in the sky to provide security for us. And as they did that, we was able to repair the track and get back on our feet. Worst case scenario, the emergency would have to take everything off the track and blow the thing up. But thank God that didn't happen, and we captured the guys. But this taught me the implementation of applying a structure, building systems before pressure arises. We may have content creation, we have marketing campaigns to go out, and something may go bad. Somebody may quit. We may have someone that is pregnant and need to take a couple of days off or take a month off, or whatever it may be that's going on in your organization. But if something happens, what are some things that we could put in place to make sure we have structure? The next thing is execute. And oftentimes you're going to find that consistency over emotional momentum is what is key. You follow the system and you follow the process. You trust the process all throughout that time. Just because something goes bad doesn't mean you quit. Just because chaos hit doesn't mean you quit. And the last thing to that is sustaining that. Success must be maintainable. Just because something goes bad in 30 days, you don't quit. Just because someone doesn't like your content, you don't quit. You don't give up. You keep on pursuing. You build systems and you continue to scale from that and execute. When I work with some of the clients that is struggling in this particular area, I share with them this following system, the AID system. And it's allocate, automate, delegate, and eliminate. The first thing is this for allocators. Assign your best time, energy, focus, and resources to what matter. Oftentimes we'll find ourselves paying attention to low-level activities. I have a friend that he has a newborn and he's married, but he gets a chance to work from home. So what he does is he finds that my best time to work is between 8 and 10, and I'm in my zone of genius, and this is when I get to knock the most things out. And then I go back to doing everything else that I could do. But the next time I could get back and lock in and get focused is between 3 to 5. And he lock in from 3 to 5 and get his best work done. And this is how he started using his time much wiser to allocate. The next thing is automate. Now, if something is repetitive, predictable, rule-based, it should not consistently consume human energy. In this day and age where we got software, we got all the technology, we got AI. If we have the resources and we have the funds, let's find things and identify things for us that we can start automating. And the third part is delegate. Release responsibility appropriately and empower others to contribute at a higher level. As leaders, many of us struggle with trusting people and giving them either our company, things that we would consider our baby, and we don't want them to mess it up. We want to micromanage them. But if you want to start scaling and start growing, you're going to have to start relinquishing some of that and start trusting people. The last thing is eliminate. Oftentimes we're going to say yes to too many things, but what if we start saying no to things that is important to us and that is mission critical? And get back your time, get back your energy so you can focus on what is most important and protect what is most important to you too as well. The last wall is renewal. And I had to learn this the hard way. I went through a divorce when I went through that situation on the railroad. But now, my wife and I have implemented things in our relationship to make sure these 4 walls are structured and have a strong foundation. So every single year, we decide to go somewhere for 5 to 10 days of vacation. So we get a chance to take a step back and then look at what went well, look at our goals, things we could improve on. I found that I could not unleash and give the world the best version of myself when my cup was empty. So how could we refill our cup and then go back and pour back into our customers and our clients? And this, you could actually apply it also for yourself personally or for your team. Oftentimes, I do some leadership training where there's a company that wants to take their senior executives, their middle management, and just take a step back so they could focus. Just so they could just work on some things so they could come back and pour back into their customers to operate optimally throughout the rest of the year. So, if you do not take the time to renew yourself, eventually your performance will begin consuming the person producing it. So the steps for what we want to do and start doing is disconnect. Create some intentional separation. Find some time in your schedule where you can take a step back and focus on yourself. Then restore yourself. Recover mentally, emotionally, and relationally. For myself, I had to go and get help. I went to go get the mental health treatment. I started pouring back into myself before I could pour into my customers and get the best version of myself. The third step is, how can we return? Come back with clarity and strength. This allows you to have a much clearer perspective for yourself and for your organization. So the question I want to leave you guys with before we get out of here is, does your audience consistently get the best version of you, while the people closest to you get what's left? My wife and I got remarried about 3 years ago, and thank you, appreciate it, thank you. We got remarried 3 years ago, and that was probably one of the hardest challenges of my life because I realized how I was pouring into learning so much about football, like protecting all those things with the quarterback, learning so much in the Marine Corps about all the things that you got to protect. When I started working on the railroad, I started pouring into the organization and giving them everything every single day, 24/7, 7 days a week. They called me off duty, I still would show up to work and still give them 100% of myself. And neglected the people in my household. And it hurt me. Knowing those things, I made sure I implemented the identity, the boundaries, the discipline, the renewal to have those 4 walls and have that foundation for myself so I could go out here and serve at a higher capacity. So when we talk about protecting the house, I wanted you guys to start thinking about that for yourself on a human level. Customers are going to come, followers are going to come, growth is going to be there. But I have several friends that I've seen. I had a friend that worked for Amtrak. He gave them 30 years. Didn't take his wife on any vacation, missed his son's football games, and 2 weeks later, he died. I have another friend that was working for a company, and he was working and working, and his wife was pregnant, and he had to take off, and he lost his job. And I say that as in, make sure we're stabilized with having those foundations, having those walls, because we never know how it's going to impact the inside of our house. So I want to challenge every single person inside of here. Over the next 72 hours, I'm going to ask you guys to, number one, identify. Identify one area where your brand, content, or messaging is no longer aligned with who you are. Boundaries. Establish one boundary that protects your time, your energy, your focus, and relationships. Discipline. Implement one system that reduces reactive behavior and increase consistency. And the last thing, schedule one activity that restores you personally, not professionally. As I took a step back and I said I want to focus on myself, focus on my company so I could go out here and do great things that I want to do, I learned this throughout that process, was pause with a purpose. Not quit, not give up, not give in, but pause with a purpose. For us to come back and unleash the greatest version of ourselves, how can we take the time back and gain some clarity, gain some perspectives, and see things from a different point of view? And I was able to do that. And once I was able to do that, I found that so many success was already within my own boundaries. I didn't have to try and go do crazy things or create crazy things or anything like that. Just focus on myself, focus on my family, and focus on my business. And once I was able to pause with a purpose, it gave me so much clarity. As we get ready to close, I have all these workbooks and all of these trainings, and I would love your feedback too as well. If you guys would scan the QR code, we could implement some of these with your teams and with your organization. But if you want to protect your brand, protect all the walls that's beside of your house, and have a strong foundation, I'm going to encourage everybody to protect the house. Thank you. Thank you.
I also feel targeted.
All right. Wow. I love that guy. We're going to keep moving on because we got a little behind earlier since we took that extra little break. But before we do, how's the scavenger hunt? Anybody finished the scavenger hunt yet? That is usually par for day one. Yeah? Yeah. So here's the deal, guys. We've got great prizes to give away. And I will tell you, on average, we don't get a lot of them turned in, which means your odds of winning are really high. So do the scavenger